Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving right into a guiding philosophy from Papa, the author of our source material, all about the hidden magic of mundane things. We're going to look at something so incredibly common, so entirely woven into the fabric of our daily commutes, that it's practically become invisible to us. Yet, its invention completely transformed modern civilization. So what everyday objects do we look at but never truly see? This is the central provocative question inspired by Papa and his late father, Papa Cuber. What's absolutely remarkable about the traffic light is that it's something we see every single day, yet we rarely pause to appreciate its importance or its massive culture-changing impacts. Today, we're recontextualizing that humble pole on the corner of your street. It's not just a light. It is a revolutionary device that saved thousands of lives and completely rewired human behavior. You can think of the traffic light metaphorically as a silent, invisible choreographer. Before it existed, our roads were a rising tide of complexity and widespread chaos. The introduction of this simple red and green binary system didn't just stop that chaos. It completely reshaped modern city living. It literally allowed the massive metropolises we know today to actually function. Section 1. The Streets of Chaos. The Deadly Convergence of 1913. To really understand why this invention was so crucial, you have to transport yourself back in time. Paint a vivid picture in your mind, a wild, completely unregulated mix of skittish horses, massive streetcars, oblivious pedestrians, and bicyclists all sharing the same mud and cobblestone. And into this already chaotic mix rolls Henry Ford's brand new Model Ts, speeding along at up to 40 miles per hour. Literally no one knew who had the right of way. The sheer scale of the danger was staggering. In 1913 alone, there were over 4,000 car crash deaths in the United States. 4,000! Our roads simply weren't built for this kind of convergence. Finding a solution was quite literally a matter of life and death. The road to safety, however, was paved with some truly bizarre and frankly dangerous failures. Back in 1868, London tried using gaslit semaphores to control traffic. The result? A gas leak caused the device to literally explode. Over in the U.S., desperate police officers would stand in chaotic intersections waving their arms, getting completely ignored by passing drivers. Then, in 1912, a Utah police officer named Lester Wire created a wooden box that looked exactly like a birdhouse, stuffed it with red and green lights, and mounted on a pole. We were desperate for a fix. Which brings us to Section 2, Cleveland's bright idea, the electric solution of 1914. The real breakthrough moment arrived on August 5, 1914, in Cleveland, Ohio. An engineer named James Hoge debuted the world's first electric traffic light system, borrowing red and green signals from the railroads. This ushered in a rapid period of cumulative innovation. We go from exploding gas lights to birdhouses, straight to Hoge's electric system. Soon after, William Potts introduces the four-way light in Detroit. And by 1923, Garrett Morgan patents the intram-warning signal, which was the precursor to our yellow light. It was a structured evolution from pure chaos to working order, exactly the kind of practical, disciplined progression that Papa's spouse, Colonel Debs, would certainly appreciate. Just think about the stark contrast here. On one side, the 1913 intersection, a free-for-all, a total Wild West of colliding metal and flesh. On the other side, just 1 year later in Cleveland, a highly regulated, color-coded setup. Hoge suspended 4 pairs of red and green lights right above the intersection. Now, it wasn't automatic yet. They were all wired to a manually operated switch inside a glass booth, complete with a buzzer to warn drivers the lights were about to change. But here is the crucial point. This invention wasn't just about controlling cars. As Cleveland safety director Alfred Benish noted at the time, it physically removed police officers from life-threatening danger. The officer no longer had to stand in the center of speeding traffic hoping for the best. They were safely tucked away in a booth on the sidewalk, able to see over the crowds, operate the switch, and even use a telephone for emergencies. A massive win for public safety. Section 3. A cultural revolution, rewiring human behavior. So fatalities drop by an incredible 50%. But the story doesn't end with infrastructure. The stoplight didn't just organize cars, it fundamentally rewired human behavior. As it evolved into a cultural symbol, things started getting a little weird. By 1916, Detroit actually had to declare a courtesy week. Why? Because drivers had essentially surrendered their humanity just to stare at a light. People stopped acknowledging pedestrians or making eye contact with each other. We were being programmed by an electrical signal, birthing the modern scourge of driver impatience. We simply couldn't tolerate sitting and waiting for a red light to change.
And this behavioral rewiring totally bled into every corner of our culture. Think about the vivid ways this red and green binary has permeated society. We teach children the rules of the road with red light, green light. Elementary schools use color-coded behavior flashcards to manage kids. Dietitians use it as a framework for healthy eating. Soccer referees hand out warning cards based on these exact colors. Corporate consultants even assess CEOs as red light crisis leaders or green light visionaries. The traffic light literally became our universal language for stop and go. Section 4, a future without lights, the next paradigm shift. Yet, as permanent as these lights seem in our lives, we are actually standing on the edge of the next big paradigm shift. Contrast the visual, human-controlled cues of the past with the intersections of the future. Autonomous, driverless vehicles are becoming the 21st century's Model T. Researchers are already designing intersections where cars practice invisible, nonverbal digital communication to seamlessly weave through without ever stopping. The traffic lights we rely on today will slowly disappear, and the new ultimate sign of modernity will be living in a no-stoplight town. So what should we take away from this journey? First, mundane objects have deeply revolutionary histories if we just take the time to look. Second, human innovation is a structured evolution. It builds cumulatively and often humorously on past failures. And finally, the infrastructure we build doesn't just dictate where we drive. It physically and psychologically rewires our entire cultural behavior. Which brings us right back to our beginning and to Papa's guiding philosophy. The traffic light is a marvel of human ingenuity just hiding in plain sight on your corner. So the next time you're sitting at a red light, instead of tapping your steering wheel in impatience, maybe take a look around. How many other everyday objects are right in front of our eyes, quietly shaping our world that we just do not see? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes open.